All right, let's jump into something pretty amazing. Today we're going to be looking at a book. It's called Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe.
Interesting.
Written by Firas Al-Munir.
Okay.
And this book is basically his personal story. And wow,
Yeah.
what a story it is.
Yeah.
Just imagine, you're living in Syria.
Yeah.
You're actively trying to avoid mandatory military service.
Wow.
For years. All the while just having this unshakable feeling like things are going to work out.
Yeah.
That's kind of where his story begins.
I mean, that's fascinating, right? Like, the way he talks about this period of his life, it's almost casual.
Yeah.
He had this unwavering faith that God would protect him.
Yeah.
And it seems like that belief really did shape his reality,
Yeah.
He even talks about going to government offices, like presenting his ID.
Right.
Almost like daring them to notice he's technically illegal.
It's like he's playing this high-stakes game of hide and seek,
Yeah.
where the stakes are incredibly high.
Oh, absolutely.
But then, of course, the Syrian war erupts, which changes everything.
Right.
And so what happens next? Al-Munir decides to escape to Lebanon.
And this escape, I mean, it's anything but straightforward. It's like something out of a spy thriller.
Really?
Yeah, you've got secret routes.
Wow.
This season's smuggler, he calls the Maestro. This really tense encounter with the Lebanese army on a mountain path in the middle of the night.
Hold on, wait, he's navigating all of this with the same calm demeanor?
Right.
I'd be a nervous wreck.
That's the thing about Al-Munir, even in these incredibly stressful situations,
Yeah.
he manages to maintain this sense of peace.
Wow.
He even finds himself share his faith with the smugglers,
Yeah.
leading to this surprisingly open conversation.
Okay, so it's like his faith isn't just this personal thing.
Right.
It's influencing how he interacts with the world,
Yeah.
even in these really unexpected circumstances.
Yeah.
So he makes it to Lebanon.
He does.
What's life like for him there?
Well, initially, there's this big sense of relief,
Okay.
freedom, but we got to remember, he's still technically illegal in Lebanon.
Right.
And in a move that can only be described as audacious,
Okay.
he decides to try and legalize his status by just walking into a police station.
Wow, that is bold.
Right.
Did it work?
Not exactly. It
Okay.
actually created a lot of confusion.
Oh.
Almost got him deported back to Syria.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Pretty scary.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
But, we have to remember,
Yeah.
Al-Munir has this unshakable faith that God is guiding his path.
That's right.
So even when he's facing potential imprisonment,
Yeah.
he's incredibly calm.
Yeah, he's remarkably calm throughout all of this.
So what happens? Does he get sent back?
Thankfully, no, he doesn't.
Okay.
Through a series of, I guess you could call them fortunate events.
Okay.
And the kindness of his landlord, he
Uh-huh.
actually ends up getting released.
Okay.
But Lebanon doesn't stay safe for long.
Right.
Tensions rise, and Al-Munir has to start making plans to escape again.
Oh, wow.
This time to Turkey.
It's turning into quite the odyssey.
It really is.
How does he even begin to plan an escape from Lebanon?
Well, his attempts to leave actually get more and more complicated.
Oh, really?
And even a bit comical at times.
Okay.
He describes these elaborate plans failing,
Oh, no.
costs escalating, just this growing sense of being trapped.
So what does he do?
Well, the solution ends up being a pretty cheap last resort option.
Okay.
He hides in a truckload of potatoes.
You're kidding me. A truckload of potatoes?
Yeah.
That's both hilarious and incredibly risky.
It really is, it
Yeah.
highlights this unpredictable nature of his journey.
Right.
But the humor is mixed with real danger, right?
Of course, yeah.
He has to cross back into Syria using a discarded entry card he found.
Wow.
And navigate multiple checkpoints with a fake ID that doesn't even remotely resemble him.
Talk about a high-pressure potato delivery.
Right.
But he makes it through.
He does, yeah.
He gets into Syria.
He does,
Yeah.
arrives in Tartus and immediately insists on praying publicly despite the obvious risk.
Oh, wow.
And then, in a truly Al-Munir fashion,
Yeah.
he shows incredible generosity to the young men who helped him along the way.
It's like even in his own precarious situation,
Yeah.
he's still focused on helping others.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, so now he's back in Syria.
Right?
What's the next step in his journey to Turkey?
Well, the journey from Tartus to the Turkish border is another harrowing experience.
Okay,
He encounters armed groups demanding bribes.
right.
And then things escalate even further when a member of the Al-Nusra Front, which is a militant group involved in the Syrian conflict,
Right.
boards his bus.
Okay, now I'm really on the edge of my seat. What
You
happens?
expect panic, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But Al-Munir,
Yeah,
he stays calm,
he does.
even brushes his
He
teeth
brushes his teeth, seriously.
in the face of this very real danger.
It's like he has nerves of steel.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Get this, his fake idea, the one that looks nothing like him, it somehow works.
Wow.
He manages to get into Turkey, parts ways with his smuggler, and begins a new chapter in the city of Antakya.
Wow, what a story so far.
Right.
From dodging the draft in Syria to hiding in a truckload of potatoes to facing down armed militants.
Yeah.
Firas al-Munir's journey is already incredible.
Yeah.
And we haven't even gotten to Europe yet.
We haven't even gotten to the main part.
Yeah.
But I think, before we dive into that,
Okay.
it's worth just taking a moment to consider what we've learned from al-Munir so far.
Right.
This unwavering faith,
Yeah.
incredible calm in the face of danger.
Right.
It makes you wonder,
Yeah.
what can we learn from his approach to life?
Yeah.
Especially when we're facing our own challenges.
It's definitely food for thought.
It is.
So count tuned as we continue to unravel the extraordinary journey of Firas al-Munir in Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe. It's amazing how, even after escaping Syria and Lebanon, his journey is far from over.
Right. We left off with him in Antakya, Turkey, starting this new.
Right.
So what's life like for him there? Does he finally find some peace? Well, he tries to.
Okay.
He talks about teaching, sharing his faith.
Okay.
But kind of unexpectedly, he encounters backlash for promoting religious tolerance.
Wait, seriously, backlash for promoting tolerance?
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder that even in places we perceive as welcoming,
Right.
complexities and challenges can still come up.
Yeah.
But it also shows that al-Munir isn't afraid to stand up for what he believes in,
Right.
even when they're unpopular.
Yeah, absolutely. So what prompts him to leave Turkey then?
Well, it's a combination of that.
Okay.
There are these rumors going around about Europe being welcoming to refugees.
Okay.
And he also has this strong desire to share his medical inventions with the world. He really believes that he can make a difference.
Wow, it's incredible that even after everything he's been through, he still has that drive
Right.
to help others.
Yeah,
That belief that he can contribute something positive.
absolutely.
So how does he actually get to Europe?
So initially he tries a sea crossing,
Okay.
but that fails.
Okay.
And so they decide to go by land.
Okay.
And it's here that we really see al-Munir's naivete about the difficulties that are ahead. He contrasts this peaceful life he had in Turkey
Right.
with the really harsh reality of what he's about to face.
It makes you wonder if that optimism, that almost childlike innocence, is part of what helps him survive.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like he has this inherent trust that things will work out,
Right.
even when the odds are totally stacked against him.
Yeah.
But the journey itself is brutal.
Yeah.
Long walks, freezing temperatures,
Wow.
close calls with the police.
Oh my God.
And this constant threat of these mafia groups that are preying on refugees.
It's hard to imagine going through all of that.
It is.
What were some of the most challenging moments he describes?
Well, there's this time he loses his phone, which is basically his lifeline to the outside world.
Oh, wow.
Then he's forced to jump from a bridge
Oh my God.
to escape the police.
Yeah.
Spends days hiding in this freezing abandoned building.
Wow.
And even has a near-death experience in a locked car where he almost suffocates.
It's amazing that he made it through all that.
Right.
It just speaks to such an incredible level of resilience,
Yeah.
both physical and mental.
Absolutely. And through it all, al-Munir never loses sight of his faith.
Right.
He's constantly reflecting on God's presence and guidance, even in these darkest moments.
Wow. So he makes it to Greece eventually.
He does.
What's his experience like there? Is it the haven that he was hoping for?
Not exactly. He describes this really harsh reality upon arrival.
Oh, no.
Police dogs being forced to meal.
Wow.
This general atmosphere of hostility.
That's so different from what he was expecting.
It is. It's a stark contrast to that image of Europe as this welcoming refuge that he had in his mind.
Yeah, it's disheartening to hear that his hopes were dashed upon arrival.
Yeah.
Did he experience any kindness at all in Greece?
He did have one unexpected encounter with kindness.
Okay.
He tried to help this sick woman, and this act of selflessness actually ends up benefiting him as well.
It's almost like his good deeds create this ripple effect,
Yeah.
coming back to him in these unexpected ways.
I like that.
So what happens next in his journey?
Well, he ends up spending 3 days in a Greek prison,
Oh, wow.
then gets released and makes his way to Athens.
Okay.
But finding a trustworthy smuggler proves difficult.
Right.
He loses his valuable research materials,
Oh, no.
which is a devastating blow,
Yeah.
and experiences these really harrowing moments hiding from the police.
It seems like every step forward leads to another setback.
It does.
It's remarkable how he keeps going, even when things seem completely hopeless.
Yes.
What drives him forward?
I think his faith is definitely a major factor. He sees every challenge as a test from God.
Yeah.
And he believes that even in these difficult moments, there's a purpose to his suffering. But it's not just faith, it's also his inherent determination,
Yeah.
his refusal to give up on his dream
Yeah.
of reaching safety and sharing his inventions with the world.
So he leaves Athens.
He does.
What's the next leg of his journey?
So he travels through Macedonia,
Okay.
enduring more long walks
Wow.
and physical strain.
Yeah.
At one point, he collapses because of this excruciating knee pain.
Oh, no.
And it's here that we really see the kindness of strangers shining through.
Yeah.
People who are struggling themselves, offering him help and support.
It's a good reminder that even in the midst of hardship and suffering,
Right.
humanity and compassion can still prevail.
Yeah, it's like a light in the darkness.
Yeah, exactly.
He eventually arrives in Serbia,
Okay.
and things take another dramatic turn.
Really?
Yeah, there's a car chase with the police.
Oh, wow.
Crash.
Oh, my God.
His honesty, even in this really chaotic situation, ultimately leads to his release.
Wow.
His friends who tried to deceive the authorities actually end up in jail.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
You know how his commitment to honesty, even when it seems counterintuitive,
Right.
actually works in his favor?
It's like his integrity becomes a shield,
Yeah.
protecting him from these harsher consequences.
It's a recurring theme in Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe, right? Almanir's faith,
Yeah.
his unwavering belief in doing what's right,
Yeah.
often leads to these unexpected positive outcomes.
So what happens to Almanir in Serbia? Does he stay there?
He does spend some time there,
Okay.
hiding at a smuggler's house.
Okay.
And it's here that his ingenuity shines through again.
Okay.
Remember his knee pain?
Yeah.
He develops this unique exercise
Okay.
using his companion's body weight to create resistance and stimulate healing.
Wait, so he turned his pain into an opportunity to help himself and others?
Exactly.
That's incredible.
This simple exercise, born out of necessity, ends up benefiting him and others later on.
Wow.
It's really a testament to his resourcefulness
Right.
and his ability to find solutions even in the most difficult circumstances.
His story is filled with these moments of unexpected resilience and creativity.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
But his journey isn't over yet.
No,
He still has to reach his final destination.
right. He continues through Serbia,
Okay.
faces more challenges,
Wow.
but never loses his determination to reach his goal. He even has this really thought-provoking encounter with a woman
Yeah.
who made moral compromises to ensure her own safety,
Okay.
which kind of highlights these difficult choices that refugees are sometimes forced to make.
Right.
But I think we'll delve deeper into those complexities in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay, I'm eager to hear more about his final push towards Europe and the lessons we can learn from this incredible journey.
Yeah, me too.
Stay tuned as we continue exploring the world of Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe.
It's going to be good.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Firas el-Munir's Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe.
It's hard to believe we've reached the end of his incredible journey.
I know, right? From Syria to Lebanon, Turkey, and now finally, he's at his destination.
It really is remarkable when you think about all he overcame to get to this point.
So where does he actually end up? Austria.
Yeah, a country he knew absolutely nothing about,
Wow.
but he decides to make it his new home.
That's a big step.
It is, going from fleeing for your life to putting down roots in a whole new place.
What's his experience like in Austria?
Well, he talks about how Austria actually surprised him.
Really?
He found this level of respect for individual freedom there and a sense of comfort that he says he hadn't experienced even in some Muslim-majority countries.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it really challenges that perception that Europe might be this cold or unwelcoming place.
Right, especially for someone from a different cultural and religious background.
Exactly, and el-Munir acknowledges that his initial perception of Europe was shaped by stereotypes
Yeah,
and limited exposure.
of course.
So his experience in Austria shows how important it is to kind of question our assumptions and be open to new things.
It sounds like he really adapted to this new life. What does he actually do in Austria?
Well, he starts a YouTube channel to teach German.
Oh, wow.
He really finds joy in sharing his love for the language.
That's so cool.
That's another great example of his resilience and that desire to connect with his new community.
Absolutely. But what about those medical inventions he was so passionate about? Does he ever get back to that work?
He does. He actually mentions that he hopes to recreate his research.
Wow.
and share his medical innovations with the world, believing that they can benefit everyone regardless of their background.
It's inspiring that after losing everything, he still holds on to that vision of helping others.
Yeah, it says a lot about him.
And there's another layer to his purpose in Austria.
Okay.
Al-Munir wants to show Europeans the true beauty and tolerance of Islam,
Right.
contrasting it with those often kind of distorted portrayals they might encounter.
It's like he sees himself as this ambassador, bridging cultures and challenging misconceptions.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bold ambition.
It is.
But it makes sense that it's rooted in his deep faith and that belief in the power of understanding and dialogue.
Okay.
I'm struck by how this book is so much more than just a refugee's story.
It is.
It's a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and that importance of holding on to hope.
Right. Even when all seems lost.
And Al-Munir's story challenges us to confront our own prejudices,
Yeah.
embrace empathy, and recognize the strength and resilience that lies within each of us.
Those are really good points.
It's a story that really makes you reflect on your own beliefs and values,
Definitely.
and how you might react when faced with similar challenges. Would we have that same unwavering faith, that same determination to keep going, the same compassion for others, even while we're suffering?
They're powerful questions.
Well, Al-Munir's journey may have ended in Austria,
Yeah.
but his story continues to inspire and challenge us.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for this incredible deep dive into Butterfly Towards the Candles of Europe.